When it comes to hiring a car accident lawyer, there are a lot of different things you really need to know when shopping around, when looking around, and trying to figure out the best option, especially because there are so many different steps involved. So in this video, jumping right into it, I'm going to talk about the 5 crucial steps you need to take and the 5 things you really need to know when hiring a car accident lawyer. One thing I have to say right in the beginning, just have to put it out there, I am not your lawyer. Every situation is different, which leads me into number 1. Make sure you hire a lawyer. I don't know why, but if you're in, let's say, a really bad accident or a really bad situation in general that you want to get legal advice and legal counsel from, too many people try to just represent themselves, being like, oh, well, I'm innocent or I'm fine. I don't have to hire a lawyer because for whatever reason, right? Whether it's you feel like you're innocent, whether it's another situation, doesn't matter. Always hire a lawyer. If you're on the fence, you're like, you know what? I could hire a lawyer because maybe I really do need one. Maybe I don't. Just do it. You're way better off hiring a lawyer and being more safe because you have someone who actually has legal advice. They understand your situation specifically and they're helping you out than just doing it yourself. And you hear so many stories about people who, let's say, were involved in an accident. They didn't do anything wrong. It was the other person's fault. But because of something they said that was a little on the fence or a gray area, because of what they did, whatever the case is, they end up losing that case. So make sure you hire a licensed lawyer or professional who knows what they're doing, has the experience, has the expertise, and can help you out with your situation. Number 2, the interview. This is a big thing that keep in mind that when you're hiring a lawyer and hiring a licensed professional, it's kind of like buying or shopping around, right? Think about it. If you're going to buy something on Amazon, and what are you going to do, right? You're going to, let's say, go on the reviews. You may be going to ask some friends, check with word of mouth. This is the big thing to shop around. You might have to talk to, let's say, 5 or even 10 lawyers to figure out, okay, do I trust them or not? Do they have good, clear communication? This is a big thing. It comes down to that famous quote from Romeo and Juliet, paraphrasing a little bit, where I will not trust a chef who does not lick their own fingers. Likewise, if you, let's say, talk to a lawyer and they don't really have clear communication of the process, what's happening, all these different elements of the whole legal battle that you're about to go through, are they even going to be that good of a lawyer overall? Are they going to be very enthusiastic about your case? Do they seem interested in you telling them this whole story of what happened? Or they're just kind of sitting back being like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Do they have a lot of experience as well? Did they just start out as a lawyer or have they been doing this for 5 or 10 years? Experience is another thing, as well as specialization. For example, let's say you're in a motorcycle accident and you're looking for a motorcycle accident injury lawyer. Well, think about it. If, let's say, someone just does all accidents, that's not going to be as useful because of the specialization compared to another lawyer that says, hey, I only live, eat, and breathe motorcycle accidents. That's my specialty. Because as you can imagine, the more specialized they are, the more experience they have in that one particular area, the better off you're going to be in that case. And do as many interviews as possible to really shop around and figure out, okay, is this a lawyer I trust? Do I feel like they're going to take my case seriously? Or are they going to work a lot on it? Or am I going to be one case in 20 that they're working on right now? Do they really care about me? So on and so forth. And I think at the end of the day, a big thing is just trust your gut, right? If you're talking to a lawyer and they just don't seem trustworthy, they don't seem they have a lot of experience, they're not really enthusiastic about your case, trust your gut on that and really focus on somebody who has experience, who actually cares about your case. Number 3, discuss the fees. This is a big one because let's say you shop around, you're like, all right, I found a lawyer. They have a lot of experience, they seem enthusiastic and energetic about my case, they have clear communication. Now make sure they have even clearer communication about the fees and get it in writing. Really understand what's going to happen. Are you paying them out of pocket? Now, every situation, like I said, is vastly different, but overall, are you going to be paying them out of pocket? Are they going to be doing some type of settlement? Typically, when it comes to personal injury lawyers, for example, they might get a third of that settlement. If, let's say, you go to court and, let's say, you get a $300,000 settlement, $100,000 of that would typically go to the lawyer. But remember, every situation is different. Overall, the biggest thing is really the clear communication. Not just with the interview, but also discussing the fees, because you want to understand, like, do you have to put any money up front? Are there any negative side effects? Like, say, if you don't win that case, or you don't win that settlement, makes you understand as much as possible. Number 4, understand the process. Let's say you found the right lawyer, like I said, you discuss the fees, it's in writing, you now understand exactly that you have the right person, and you know how the payment system overall is going to work, make sure you now understand the process, because at that point, once you have everything kind of set in stone, it's like, well, what now? Is the lawyer going to jump on top of it right away? Is it going to be a lag time? Are they going to do more research beforehand? Etc., etc. This is why it really comes down to making sure you have the right lawyer and the best lawyer you can find, because like I said, if they don't have clear communication, you might be in the dark being like, all right, are you going to call me in a day, a week? Do I have to do something for you or not? Like, what do I have to do? What's the next step in this process? That's why, if anything, the number one factor of this entire video, besides making sure you hire a lawyer, is really doing that interviewing and vetting process to make sure you have the best one possible. Because you really want to understand, is there any medical issues that actually adds in a whole new element of this? What about your car? What about maybe getting a rental car? Like, all these different things that come into play when you're hiring a car accident lawyer are super important. So make sure you ask a lot of questions, make sure the lawyer explains it to you very clearly, and make sure you understand that situation super crystal clear from start to finish. Number 5, evidence. So at this point now, you've hired a lawyer. You've understood exactly, the fees, the entire process. That's crystal clear to you. Now, a big thing is, do you have any evidence? This is a big thing to make sure you always get photos and videos of any accident or any situation that you're in. Because if it turns into a he said versus she said situation, it's always a lot more difficult. And this happened to one of my friends. She was driving, some lady rear-ended her, they went to court for it, and it became a he said versus she said situation because the lady was like, oh, you know what? I didn't rear-end her. She was going in reverse for some reason and backed into my car. And at that point, the judge was like, sorry, we can't say exactly if it was you who rear-ended her or she reversed or backed up into you. You guys pay for your own cars, and that's a horrible position to be in. Regardless if it's your fault or not, always get as much evidence as possible, photos or videos, and make sure you let your lawyer know, hey, here's all the documentation, in a sense, that I have. Here's all the media, whether it's videos, photos, let's say it's an audio clip for some reason. Anything you have to really demonstrate the exact situation is always going to be important, which leads me into a bonus tip. And that is, make sure you have a dash cam. Now, on this channel, I post a lot of videos about Lyft and Uber. And one big thing about Lyft and Uber that's kind of unfortunate is, as you can imagine, the more you drive, the more likely you are to be in an accident. It's pretty much just statistics, right? You're on the road more, etc., etc. However, though, even if you're not an Uber driver and a Lyft driver, you should still get a dash cam. I mean, there are so many situations I hear about all the time online of, again, like I said before, that he said versus she said situation, and even if it's not your fault, you can still get penalized, or you can still not get that money or that settlement that you deserve. In addition, dash cams are so cheap right now. You can get one on Amazon for like $30. It takes 2 seconds to set up in your car, and not only does it record the front of your car, but also the back. I mean, who knows? Again, for my Lyft and Uber drivers out there, let's say you're driving, somebody, and this happens unfortunately when it comes to Lyft and Uber, somebody attacks you, somebody does something that affects your driving, you get into an accident. Well, that's something to make sure that you have evidence of. Like, hey, the person hit me in the back of the head, and this happened, and create that domino effect. And the truth is, when it comes to having a dash cam or any evidence, or this video in general, this is always the worst case scenario. Hopefully, you will never have to use any of these tips. Hopefully, you will always be okay, but you just never know. And I feel like a dash cam, especially that $30 or $50 or whatever it is for the dash cam that you're going to spend, is so little compared to the amount that you might have to spend if you don't have the evidence. And again, even if it's not your fault, you still might get penalized. Get the dash cam because the results don't lie. There have been so many reports of people, saying, oh my God, I got into this accident, it turned into this crazy situation, but because they have the evidence, because they have the dash cam footage, it saved me hundreds, thousands, or maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars just by having it. Make sure you get a dash cam.